you do under pressure? Oh, yeah, I've been wanting this forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey, yeah, ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome in to another episode podcast to talk about our favorite team, the Arizona Cardinals. What is going on, everybody? Appreciate y'all for being here in the chat. We're going to have a good, fun-filled show for you guys today. Appreciate you for being here in the chat. If you could do me a huge favor, smack up the like button on your way in. Huge shout out to the people that are currently in the chat. We got Julio, we got John Paul, we got X, we got Vin, we got Cards Kingdom at the top. Appreciate y'all for being here. Obviously, you guys are already getting very, very active in the chat. And if you guys do not know what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about the offense. We're going to be talking about the Arizona Cardinals offense. And I know right now there's a split of the fan base kind of going back and forth between it's Kyler, it's the O-line, it's Drew Petzing, it's this, it's that, it's that, it's this, right? That's what we're talking about today, ladies and gentlemen. So, appreciate you guys for being here. Let me give a huge shout out here to the sponsors of the Arizona Sports Fan here on YouTube. If you're looking for a brand new sports book, BetUS is the way to go. Currently, right now, if you use promo code YouTube150, they will provide you with a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit and a 125% sign-up bonus on the following two. That is going to be up to $2,000 by using promo code YouTube150 upon signing up. Now, if you guys do not know, the odds already have been posted here with the Miami Dolphins, a 3-point favorite over the Arizona Cardinals. If you don't know, Tua Tagovailoa seems to be trending in the direction that he is going to be playing this weekend. So that's why they got the Miami Dolphins favorite over the Cardinals. And it doesn't help that the Cardinals are going to the East Coast. We usually don't do really well, especially in that 10 o'clock slot frame. So there's that. If you want to go and put some money down, there are the odds right there. And then there was some updates here from Darius Robinson that I do want to get to. Let's get to that here real quick. Here we go. Let's get to Darren Urban's. He ended up putting something here on X/Twitter. Just want to get you guys caught up to date with everything Darius Robinson and everybody, right? So Darren Urban came out and said this: in the open portion of the Arizona Cardinals practice, did not see Sean Murphy-Bunting or Darius Robinson. It should be noted, services for Robinson's mom, who recently passed away, were Wednesday. So we talked about this in yesterday's video, and we knew about this last week, and I could have sworn I said this on our live stream, but I always forget that not everybody watches the live streams. A lot of people mainly focus on the videos that are posted on this channel, and that's completely fine. But for the people that do not know, yes, Darius Robinson did lose his mom last week, so of course, sometimes it takes some time for the burial and the services and all that different stuff. So that might be attributed as to why he's not seen in practice. So obviously, prayers up and condolences for his family, and yeah, we'll go from there. And now Sean Murphy-Bunting on the other end, I believe it was a neck injury that he ended up having, but I'm not going to lie to you, ladies and gentlemen, I kind of did like what I've seen from Max Melton. I kind of really want to see a little bit more Max Melton. So hopefully Sean Murphy-Bunting gets healthy. I think he's a really, really good depth player for the Cardinals, but I think it's time to now start seeing these younger guys, at least in my personal opinion. So, all right. Let's get started here, ladies and gentlemen. We got a lot to dive into today. Obviously, it's all going to be surrounding the Cardinals and what Kyler Murray said yesterday. If you guys do not know, Kyler Murray ended up coming out on a presser. He usually talks every Wednesday, meets with the media. And there was a lot of good questions being asked to Kyler, and I kind of want to obviously dive into it together and speak about how you guys feel about it. And there is also another thing I want to dive to as well in terms of Marvin Harrison Jr. being compared to these other three wide receivers, right? Your Brian Thomas Jr. I don't have a Dunze on this graphic, but I also do got Malik Neighbors. So those three wide receivers we're going to be talking about later on in the stream. So without further ado, let's get started here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about, obviously, Kyler Murray's thoughts on the offense. I don't have all the clips, but I got the ones that I feel like it was worth talking about. So let's get started here. Let's start with obviously with having a 4th overall pick in your roster with Marvin Harrison Jr. There was a question being asked about how are you as obviously a former 1st overall pick or former 1st round pick, how are you helping Marvin Harrison Jr. kind of go through this, bumps and bruises that he's kind of going through right now. And the bumps and bruises is obviously being addressed to the drops that we've been seeing so far and the inconsistencies between Kyler and Marv. And this is what Kyler Murray had to say.
How comfortable do you see him getting those extra reps now offensively?
I honestly just trying to talk to him and just give him any advice and kind of soothe his anxiety as far as how the game is and how it can go. Obviously, you get into this league as a rookie, as a young guy, you're playing against guys that you've looked up to your whole life or you've seen on the TV your whole life. Kind of psych you out if you allow it to, but that's on us as veterans and guys around him to, calm him down and allow him to just go be himself and play the game.
Okay, couple different things. I think we've all talked about the thought that we have seen a growth maturity level wise within Kyler Murray, right? And we've all talked about this even in the offseason where he actually does seem happier. It doesn't seem like we're getting as much grumpy Kyler in the sidelines. Sometimes does it show a little too much? Yeah, sometimes it does, right? But this is an emotional sport, right? I don't think anybody's expecting Kyler Murray to be non-emotional all the time. Of course, you need to put some emotion, right? And you can tell by his celebration where he didn't really kind of give too much information as to why that he did. But Jonathan Gannon said he's okay with, these players showing emotion and doing what they want in the celebration as long as it's not affecting the team. And I think at the end of the day, what we kind of heard here from Kyler Murray about, speaking to them, if it's one of those things where he might be kind of shell shocked or he might be kind of star shocked with these guys that he's looking up to. I don't know. I don't know if that's what is happening with Marvin Harrison Jr. personally. Like I said, I don't have any insight. I'm just kind of giving you my own 2 cents. There can be a level of that. I feel like that it can, but I would only really believe that if Marvin Harrison Jr. wasn't the son of Marvin Harrison. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. has got a really, really good head on his shoulders, and I think he knows how to separate personally. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's fine. But I do think that he does have a level of, he knows it's game time and he knows it's ready to go. I think the biggest thing that we're dealing with right now is just that I don't think they're on the same page. I think Kyler and Marvin Harrison Jr., whether obviously in the speed of the game, these are split-second decisions that are needing to be made, right? And of course, we got some clips to talk about here because Kyler Murray addressed that thing that's going around X/Twitter and even on social media about Kyler Murray missing another shot to Marvin Harrison Jr. on a potential touchdown. We have that clip that we're going to be diving into a little later, but I think that's the root of it all. I really do. Can there be a little bit of sense where maybe he might be a little starstruck by some of these guys? I guess you can, but I mean, there is an adjustment period. I do think that there's an adjustment period between obviously the collegiate level to the NFL level that we're living in right now, right? There might be a little bit, but I don't think that's really one of those things where we need to focus on too much. Now, if there is a little bit, then obviously, it's great to have a veteran like Kyler Murray come out here and say, hey, obviously game day, put your game face on, and that's what's important. It's not that you were looking up to these guys, although I don't think it is. I got to give some sort of credit because he's at least making an effort and making an attempt to say, hey, this is what the issue is. This is how you can kind of negate that specific issue. Now, I just think that it all comes down to just not being on the same page, right? I think that's where this all stems from. And it's so crazy because this whole offseason, we were raving and excited about how Kyler Murray has taken the extra step. And I'm still giving him kudos for that. Seriously, he's taken all his weapons, or at least most of his weapons, to California on his expense to get the workouts in, right? But that's the thing. I keep going back to the same thing. The Arizona Cardinals should have played in preseason. They should have played in preseason. I don't know why. I don't know. Oh, actually, I do know why. Why Jonathan Gannon decided to make the decision. I understand why now, right? Because injuries. But this is an important part of why are we still dealing with this, right? This whole situation should have been fixed by week 4. 1 month into the season, this stuff should have been fixed. And I kind of do blame the coaching staff a little bit for saying things were okay when things weren't okay. Obviously, things weren't okay. There seems to be a level of disconnect between these two. And I think they're fine. I don't think there's any bad will. Obviously, when emotions get into the game, maybe some people can get frustrated, but I think they really generally like each other as human beings. You could even tell by the mic'd up. Kyler Murray went up to Marvin Harrison Jr. He actually said, and I'm not sure if he was talking about that specific play, but he said, I got you next time. So That's also great leadership from Kyler Murray to go up to your wide receiver, right? Your young wide receiver, while he's looking at film with the coach, come up to him and say, hey, I might have missed you. I'll get you next time. I didn't know you were going to do that. I'll get you. So I got to give kudos to where kudos. Watch that mic'd up, right? It's the most recent mic'd up here from the Arizona Cardinals YouTube page. Kyler Murray is taking strides. He really is. He came up to his young wide receiver and said, I got you next time. That's, sometimes all it takes. Honestly, that's sometimes all it takes. So I like what he's doing. Obviously, what I would like a little bit more is the connection. I would like to see 5, 6, receptions from Marvin Harrison Jr., even if it's not over 100 yards. That's kind of what I would love to see. But I do love that the proper steps are at least attempted to be made. That's something I can definitely go ahead and lean my hat on. Now, this next question here is about obviously Marvin Harrison Jr.'s expectations. And let's dive into it.
Going off of that, you know what it's like to come into the league with the expectations of being one of the top picks. The topics surrounding Marvin, it's the connection between you guys hasn't fully seemed to be there. Is there anything you could do as a veteran to make sure that the pressure is not as much on him?
I think when you are one of those guys, like his mentality and his expectations of himself are always going to remain the same. Like that's nothing that I can do. Anything that y'all write about, like that's not going to affect the way he feels like he should be playing the game, or wants to play the game. But at the same time, no, I don't think we've even scratched the surface of what we can be. And I know it's frustrating for fans and it's frustrating for us too, because I want him to have 10 catches a game, 100 yards a game. Like we all want that, But again, it takes time, it takes work, and that's what we're striving to be great. And I believe we'll get there.
So expectations are a mother effer. They are, especially if you're the 4th overall pick, or obviously Kyler Murray being the 1st overall pick in the 2019 draft, coming off of a back-to-back quarterback draft, right? Expectations can kill you, or if you rise up to the challenge, can make you a superstar, right? Like expectations can be a career killer. They really can. And what I'm kind of hearing from Kyler Murray, and we don't know, right? The only person that knows is obviously Kyler and Marvin Harrison Jr. as to why it doesn't click, right? Or why it hasn't clicked so far. I have confidence that it will, right? Kyler Murray seems to have confidence, so all we can do right now is hope and pray that it is. But I do believe that we are seeing a wide receiver right now that doesn't have the confidence right now because of the numbers not matching up to the spotlight, right? And I think that's one thing that we need to get into his head, that he has been impactful to this offense, although not to the level of probably your Brian Thomas Jr. or your Malik Neighbors, right? Because we're going to look into the numbers here a little later on, but it is obvious that when Marvin is not getting the ball, there has been some sort of body language on the Marvin Harrison Jr.'s behalf. And that's the thing. I feel like Kyler can be a great leader in the sense, because Kyler Murray was going through that same thing, right? I feel like we got 2 players right now, and I think Kyler Murray's found his voice. Once we got this new coaching staff, I feel like Kyler Murray's now finally found his voice about obviously being the veteran, right? Not being the rookie, not being starstruck with your DeAndre Hopkins, with your Larry Fitzgerald. Maybe didn't feel like he had much of a say, but now he does. And I think he is a perfect example of somebody like a Marvin Harrison Jr., because Marvin is kind of similar to me, right? I don't see Marvin as a Malik Neighbors, where you see Malik Neighbors kind of obviously in the offseason going to strip clubs or doing all these things where it's legal. I'm not saying anything bad about it, but I don't think that's his persona. I think his persona is more of a quiet, humble, loves football to the core, but I think we're dealing with a confidence issue. I really do. I think we're dealing with a issue where confidence can really be a momentum killer for a young wide receiver. And I think that with what we're hearing, at least from Kyler Murray, talking about starstruck, I think that conversation should be a little bit shifted to, hey, you can do it, right? And I loved what I seen from that mic up, right? This is the second time I'm mentioning the mic'd up video here on the Arizona Cardinals YouTube page, because I love the fact that Marvin Harrison Jr. is sitting there watching the tape on a tablet with the coach, and then Kyler Murray steps up to him and says, hey, I might have missed you. I got you next time, right? That's amazing. That's what you want to hear from your franchise quarterback. That's what you want to see from your quarterback that's getting paid $200 million, giving the confidence into a young receiver. Now, what's going to give him more confidence? Words or actions, right? Actions. I hope, and I don't understand why Drew Petzing has not made specific plays specifically for Marvin. I don't get it, right? We've been clamoring, we've been talking about it for almost seems like 7 weeks now, right? Or 6, 7 weeks now, where we need specific plays for Marvin. Why not do a jet sweep? Why not do a trick play where Marvin Harrison Jr. gets the ball, right? Where he's the number one guy that's going to get the rock on that play. Heck, I'm not even gonna say a wide receiver screen for F's sake, because like that's to the point where we need him to get involved early in the game to get him the confidence to say, hey, I can do this, right? I can be in the NFL. I can, you know, play with the rest of them, right? I am just as good as Malik Neighbors. I'm just as good as Brian Thomas Jr., right? So that's kind of what I want to see from Drew Petzing. Now, I do agree to a sense where it's not 100% Kyler Murray's job to make this man's confidence to an all-time high. It isn't, right? But it does help that he does have the back support of your franchise quarterback. But we are also looking at, Drew Petzing to get him involved in specific plays. So it's an accumulation of a lot of different things, and I know everybody's trying to find that one perfect piece. I think if it was as simple as that, the Cardinals would have fixed it already. I don't think it's one perfect piece as to, oh, we found the fix, we found the answer. I think it's an accumulation of a lot of different things, and I think that's one of the main reasons why the Cardinals can't fix it, because if they're not dealing with this issue, that arises, and if this happens, that happens. So it's an accumulation of a whole cluster F, if you know what I'm trying to say. So the Cardinals can fix it. They still have time. Is it suck that it's taking this long? Absolutely. But I'm hearing the same things over and over again. That means culture is being established. That means no fingers are being pointed. And I like the direction where we're going. Let's just keep this going. Now, let's talk about plays that Kyler Murray wants potentially back. Now, I think if you're watching the film, and I've already saw some people here in the chat going back and forth like, oh, Kurt Warner has talked about this. You should watch that video, right? Now, you can hear from Kyler Murray, whether you watch the vlog of the one he posted or even when he's talking in this Wednesday press conference, he actually is very critical on himself too. He says that there is plays that he would like back too, right? So for the people out there saying, oh, Kyler Murray is perfect in all he does, I'm never going to listen to somebody that always thinks that way, right? To me, Kyler Murray is my quarterback. Am I critical? Yes, but I feel like it's very, very crucial to be critical in certain things, because you're not going to be able to learn if you keep telling somebody, oh, you're doing good, I trust you. But we're seeing the same things over and over again, right? That's where the critique comes from in terms of why I want him to be better, because I want him to be franchise quarterback. I don't want to be talking about 2025 and being worried about my franchise quarterback. I need to start seeing some consistency and some wins as a Arizona Cardinal fan. So this is what Kyler Murray had to say about plays specifically that he wants back. And this is what he said.
Look at the plays this year that you would like to have back. Is there a common thread? Is there a certain type of, is it more missed throws? Is it more not seeing guys?
Sorry, real quick, my bad. Shout out. This is the same voice that I've said shout out before too. Shout out to this guy again, because he pushes it. There's a question, and then you notice he re-asks again, because Kyler Murray doesn't really, I guess, answer it the way that like he was really asking. So he really pushes back in terms of, no, this is what I mean. So sorry, let me play it back.
Look at the plays this year that you would like to have back. Is there a common thread? Is there a certain type of, is it more missed throws? Is it more not seeing guys? Is there a thing that's bothering you more than anything else?
I think, incompletions for most part, plays that, that should be made that aren't made. Those are, and then it happens every weekend, not just to me, but, you could ask every guy in that locker room, is there a play that they wish they had back on Sunday or Monday, and they're going to tell you, yeah. But, you practice to be perfect. Obviously, it's damn near impossible, but, that's the goal.
So is that an accuracy thing? What is caught?
No, I mean, in the moment, there are missed throws, but there's sometimes you put the ball where you want to put it, and, a receiver may or may not feel what you felt in that moment. So it's, it goes back and forth and just be on the same page. And like, again, we're all going to make errors, physical errors are going to happen every game. So, it's how you respond in the next play. Didn't start the 2-minute drive off the way we wanted to. Ended up, luckily getting a penalty on Marv, and then what he'd tell you, he'd want to catch that ball 10 times out of 10, he's going to catch that ball, get the PI, and then we respond with JC going down and getting, the check down going for however many it did, end up winning the game. So we didn't allow what, took place earlier in that drive to affect, the rest of the game. So
one thing, just that last little part, we didn't allow right, what happened to affect the game. That's great, honestly. And I see something in the comments here. Shout out Stu. I love Kyler, but when he gets down on himself, he does not play good. So, and that's the thing too. Like, if we have two guys what are supposed to be the spearhead of what this offense is, right? I feel like Marvin Harrison Jr. is kind of in the same boat too, right? Where Marvin Harrison Jr. looks like he's losing confidence, or if he doesn't feel like he's getting the ball, why try? Which I don't like that mindset, and I'm not saying that's what he feels like, but that's kind of what it looks like from the outside looking in, right? Where I've seen him when Trey McBride made that catch, not the one where he was deep, but they were kind of in the same area, and he kind of went like this with his hands, and I don't know, I see body language and I see things like you don't want that, right? You don't want that. So if you have your franchise quarterback kind of in that same personality, and you have your franchise potentially wide receiver one with that same personality, you need somebody to be that alpha dog, that alpha male. Now I'm seeing a little bit of glimpses from Kyler Murray, which, like I said before, kudos to him and shout out to him for at least making the attempt to come up to his young wide receiver and says, I'll get you next time. That's huge. That really is. Now, did he get him next time? I mean, probably not, but still, the action of him coming up and saying that to your wide receiver one is absolutely amazing. And I really, really do like that. Now, like I mentioned, shout out to this reporter for obviously kind of pushing back a little bit, because I don't think he really answered his question. So he ends up asking again, so is it like an issue where, is it a missed throw? Is it the wide receivers, right? Because I think we're kind of getting to the point right now where the season is where it is. And it's a lot of things that we're hearing is lip service right now, right? And I know that a lot of these guys are saying exactly what we need to hear, right? They're saying the right important things, which is good. But like, we want to see results, right? At the end of the day. So the way Kyler Murray explained it is that, there's sometimes the ball, when he throws it, like, there's the miscommunication again, right? So whether you want to blame it on Kyler or blame it on the wide receiver, or maybe the wide receiver messed up the route, maybe they got jammed on the line, completely messed up the route. Because we heard we heard JG and the rest of these guys always say it, right? We need 11 people on the field to do their job in order for this offense to succeed. And that's true, right? This is as, team friendly, team supportive sport as you can come. You need 11 guys to do their job, whether it's a specific wide receiver taking a safety out somewhere and opens up in the middle, right? Whatever the route tree comes around. But I am hearing Kyler Murray saying the miscommunication, right? That specific thing where he, as a quarterback, felt like this is the right throw that needed to be done. And then for some reason, the wide receiver is not on the same page, which causes, incompletions, dropped balls, what we're seeing with our wide receivers. And I don't care what the problem is. I really don't. I just need it to get fixed, right? I'm not here getting paid millions of dollars to try to correct a billion-dollar organization problem that we're seeing from week 1 to week 7. They need to fix it. What I see is that there's a problem. I'm not here and I'm not getting paid millions of dollars to fix it. They need to fix it. They need to fix what's going on here and what's the problem. Maybe it is Marvin Harrison Jr. not running 100%. Maybe it is Kyler Murray missing throws. Maybe it is Kyler Murray throwing the ball a little too high. Maybe he was a little scared. Maybe it was in his mind that his balls kept getting batted down at the line. We don't know, right? We don't know. It's a lot of speculation at this very moment, but the only really person that can get this established and get this done is Kyler Murray and the wide receivers. Like, that's it. Because this offense can run really well. Imagine a world, ladies and gentlemen, where the Cardinals are averaging a wide receiver. It doesn't have to be Marvin Harrison Jr., but a wide receiver that has 80 yards a game, right? And the other one has 40 to 60 yards a game. And guess what? You have Trey McBride eating. And guess what? You got James Conner eating in the backfield. That can be a very scary offense. And guess what? You have Kyler Murray using his legs and having more than 30 or 40 plus yards on the ground. That's a recipe for success. The biggest problem and the biggest broken spot on this team is the fact that our offensive receivers, our wide receivers can't get open. Or I'm sorry, let me reframe that back. Our wide receivers aren't a big focal point in this offense, or at least they haven't been a big impactful, position in the entirety of the season, or at least consistency, right? We've seen some things where Michael Wilson shows up on the stat sheet. We've seen some games where obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. went off versus the Rams, but we're looking for a consistency. We're looking for consistency where a wide receiver can get the ball, in a consistent manner, right? Because if you look at the stat line from Greg Dortch has like one catch, 5 or 6 yards, but he's got a touchdown, right? Like, Somebody needs to come out. Somebody needs to break out with this wide receiving core. And I feel like the take of, oh, these separations, they're not getting set. That's such a lazy take. I really do. I think that's such a lazy take. There is ways of getting your wide receivers open, right? Whether that's scheme, whether that's your wide receiver beating your guy. They need to be able to fix this issue. These guys are getting paid millions and millions of dollars to get this correct. They got to get it fixed. And on top of that, the finger's also being pointed at Drew Petzing as well to make sure there is play specifically for Marvin Harrison Jr., which we have yet to see. We have yet to see. We should have not seen that, Mr. Petzing over there. So there's that. The last clip I want to show you here is the controversy play, right? The controversial play of Kyler missed Marvin, right? And I know I already see the comments here. Watch Kurt Warner's video. To me, I'm never a guy that, like, I'll watch it, but I don't base my opinion off what somebody says, right? To me specifically, I have my own opinions, and maybe we can be agreeants to a specific opinion. But what I've seen is a inconsistency for 7 straight games. This is not just one game, and a lot of people like to focus on one game. So I can watch the breakdown of Kurt Warner, but you're not giving me anything that I don't already know, or you're not really giving me what happens from week 1 to week 7, right? You're giving me what's happening in week 7, which is important, but at the end of the day, this issue is just continuing to happen over and over and over and over again, and I'm looking for a fix. So this is what Kyler Murray had to say about the whole, did he miss Marvin Harrison Jr.? And this is exactly what Kyler had to say.
Pull the ball down on a pass play in the second run. What goes through your head in terms of when you make that decision? How quickly do you make that decision? What's that process like internally?
Well, the one I scored on, yeah, it's always different, man. It's always different. I know. I haven't been on Twitter, but I'm sure people were talking about the throw to Mark.
I'm sorry, real quick. You know Kyler Murray. Yeah, you have been on Twitter and you see it, right? Regardless if it is your fault or it's not your fault, don't act like it. But it's okay. I mean, that's really irrelevant. But let's go back to it.
Pull the ball down on a pass play in the second run. What goes through your head in terms of when you make that decision? How quickly do you make that decision? What's that process like internally?
Well, the one I scored on, yeah, it's always different, man. It's always different. I know. I haven't been on Twitter, but I'm sure people were talking about the throw to Mar being open on the double move. Right? I didn't, drop back. He's open, but if you watch the play, like, you don't have time to see him, and then I'm moving around. Do I wish I would have looked deep to short? Of course, but when people are rushing you and stuff like that. In that moment, I'm trying to move the chain. So I see Trey, and that's how that play, turns out. And then the play where I have time to survey the field and understand if I look at James, the defender's going to stop his feet. He may move to James, and that split second, boom, I know I got him out leveraged, touchdown. So it's just, that's the tough part about playing quarterbacks. You got to make split decisions. You got to live with that decision. You got to be decisive. So there's going to be times you miss somebody. There's going to be times you hit them. That's the tough part about playing quarterback.
It's the truth. Oh, 100%. Every little thing can be a factor as to why you did not complete it, right? And Kyler Murray said that, like, just listen, right? Kyler Murray said it himself. Would I have loved to thought deep to short? What does that mean? That his main process would have been, the double route or the double move on Marvin Harrison Jr. Would that have been my first thought? He said, yes, of course, I would love to think, because if that was his first read and saying, okay, this is where I'm going to go with the ball. I like what I've seen from the coverage. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to beat him. This is what I'm going to do. Now, granted, yes, the pocket collapsed. You had to scramble out of the pocket, and it was still a good play. I want to be very clear. It was still a good play. Going to Trey McBride was not the problem, right? Not a problem, but that just goes to show, like, there is an answer, but there's multiple different answers as to what happened in the thought process of what Kyler Murray was saying, right? So I'm not sitting here saying, oh, you need to make that throw. You need to make that. No, I'm not sitting here saying that. I know it's a hard throw. I understand that. But what I'm saying is Kyler Murray said it himself that did he wish he was looking from high to low, right? From that route with the start of his progression, or you're my wide receiver one. The problem is that he doesn't have the confidence, or at least Marvin doesn't have the confidence. But we know for sure that Marvin isn't first read for Kyler, or at least in certain plays, at least in this specific play, because he admitted it himself that, do I wish that? Yes, of course, I wish that. But, that's not the way it broke down. So the way it broke down still worked out. We still had a really good reception here from Trey McBride. But the thought of this specific play, I hear a lot of people saying things like, oh, this is the right answer. Guys, there is a right answer for everything, right? There's a right answer for everything. Yes, there was a offensive line breakdown. Correct. You're right. He had to get out of the pocket. He still made a really good, fantastic play. But would Kyler want that back? Would he love to see from high to low first, right? Yeah, of course he would have, because that would have been an explosive play to your young wide receiver. But it's one of those things where he's right. Every little thing could affect the play of what happened in that game. So I'm not sitting here saying, "Oh, he's not the guy. He should have saw that," because I've never personally had 4 to 5 or let alone big man trying to rip my head off, or not rip your head off, but obviously, take you down for a sack, right? So it's hard for me to see and say, oh, Kyler Murray, you need to be better, because I understand what he's saying. Like, everything is affected, but does he want the playback? Of course. I mean, that would have been an amazing stat patter. That would have been a good highlight reel to your young wide receiver, the 4th overall pick in the NFL draft. It's just not the way that it worked. Not saying the play didn't work out. It did work. It was a good play. It's just that wasn't the first read of Kyler Murray's thought process. But I'm starting to see it almost kind of feels like Marvin Harrison Jr. is not the first read for Kyler Murray. Now, that touchdown from Greg Dortch, I know there was a breakdown from Drew Petzing. He's got like 5 or 10 seconds to explain what's going on. When I rewatched the film on Tuesday, or I rewatched the highlight, it does seem like there was a potential double team there. So I'm not even worried about the thought of, oh, you should have sent the ball over to Marvin Harrison Jr. on that touchdown. No, it definitely looked like they were doubling him. Like, the plan was to double. So I thought that was a really, really good read. But that's the thing, the decisiveness of what Kyler Murray was before pre-snap. You even knew he didn't even look this way at all. He was straight on. I'm going this way. I got 3 weapons over here, and what I'm going to go with is Greg Dortch. Snap the ball, drop back, send it over to Greg Dortch. A great play that he read from the jump before he even read. He already knew where he was going to go. It was that quick. He knew where he was going to go. He didn't even look left, and I'm not mad at it. That's cool. That's cool. But that's the type of stuff, man. Like, all 11 need to do their job in order for you to be a successful offense, right? So I love the fact that, I'm not sure if you guys watched the vlog where Kyler Murray obviously has a YouTube channel. Now, if you guys don't know, check it out. But he even says it in the last 5 minutes of his video where he's saying a lot of me. I need to be better, right? There's stuff that I missed. I love that. I really do. Right. And it's crazy because I'm not sitting here saying, oh, Kyler Murray. I don't think Kyler Murray listens to me. I don't think Kyler Murray listens to this podcast. I don't think he does. But what I'm saying is that when I said it 2-3 weeks ago, that stop saying we, and say me. And it was such a small little thing where I was in the heat of the moment. I was pissed off because we lost. He's now started to say I a lot of times, which I absolutely love. And it's so minimal. It's not one of those things where I'm losing sleep overnight. I was just really pissed off during that post-game show that now that he's starting to say it, I'm hearing it say a lot more. And I think that goes a long way. I really do. I don't know. Maybe it's just me talking out of my, ASS. But yeah, I love it. I really do. Would I love Kyler Murray to have better stats? Of course. Would I like this offense to be running more efficiently? Of course. But I mean, it's just not the situation that we're finding ourselves in right now. The Arizona Cardinals offense, which is supposed to be the bright spot, is still struggling. Who's going to fix it? The guys within this locker room. Have them keep preaching what they're preaching. Believe, don't give up, don't be grumpy cat, and talk to each other on the sidelines. You're going to get the rock. You're going to get it. And if it doesn't happen or if it doesn't work, then we kind of know what the 2024 Arizona Cardinals is, because we're still yet to see a very, very flawless offensive game other than the Rams game. That was really the only flawless game in the offensive side of the ball, at least for me personally. So let me know your guys' thoughts here in the chat. Appreciate you guys for being here, by the way. Do me a huge favor. We got over 50 people here on the YouTube side with 22 likes. Smack up the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. Smack it up. Do it for the algorithm. Let's read a couple of these chats, and then we're going to be talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. compared to Malik Neighbors, compared to Brian Thomas Jr., and their stats and what it looks like so far. So let's go with Jack. What's up, Jack? He says, by the end of the game, the defense doesn't even bother covering Marvin Harrison Jr. because he becomes a non-factor. Boom. Facts. Yeah, you're right. You're right. 100%. Now, that ball that was attributed to him getting his head, head-to-head contact, the penalty that came flying out, that was a penalty. It was a penalty. Now, it's so weird because, like, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Michael Wilson both, for some reason, try to catch the ball. I don't know if you guys noticed. Like, they both left their legs, but, like, they were doing this weird little motion where, like, they were trying to catch the ball. Maybe miscommunication. Maybe the ball wasn't where it was supposed to be. I don't know. Maybe they were backtracking and they're like, oh, my God, the ball's right here. I got to go. But, like, both of their legs go like this. Like, I don't know why. And I'm just only pointing that out because both of them had an issue like that. Now, I do agree. Marvin Harrison Jr. does seem like a non-factor, right? Especially if he doesn't get going. That's not a good place you want to find yourself as an offense, like at all. Let's go with Ian. So you expect him to trust someone that has been dropping passes, that has been hitting his chest, and also going to disregard the play concept. You need to stop putting it all on Kyler. It's old. I think you're talking to somebody here in the chat. I'm assuming. Because I'm not sure if I don't think you're talking to me, Ian. I hope you're not. But yeah, because I'm not putting it all on Kyler personally. But let's actually talk about that, right? Because with what we've seen so far here, and I'm so glad that I actually found this. Now, please keep in mind here, ladies and gentlemen, that what I'm going to bring up here are the stats of the 3 wide receivers, the top 3. And there's no disrespect to Adunze, but these are the top 3 wide receivers. And of course, Marvin Harrison Jr. being our guy, I'm putting him on this list because we need to kind of break down to see what's happening, what's going on, and all these different stuff, right? So comparing the wide receivers, right? You got your Brian Thomas Jr., which is, man, he's doing good. You got Malik Neighbors, and then you got Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, like I said before, I want to be very, very clear. These stats are supported by a fantasy football website, right? So it's actually fantasypros.com. If you want to check it out, highly recommend you do it. They got a lot more different stats on there, but these are the ones I decided to kind of pluck away and compare to Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors, and then Marvin Harrison Jr., right? So these are the ones that I decided to bring so we can have a conversation about. So here's the thing. When you're looking at the stats here, right, you see targets for Brian Thomas, you're seeing Malik targets, you're seeing Marvin Harrison Jr.'s targets, right? A big drop-off, right? And it might be because the Cardinals are a run-heavy team, so we're not really using Marvin Harrison Jr. to the point where Malik is being used or Brian Thomas Jr. is being used. And let's call it like it is. The Jaguars, they don't have a James Conner. Now, yes, they got Tank Bigsby, which he's doing actually really, really well. But they're not a run-heavy team. We are, right? And then, of course, you got Malik Neighbors with the Giants. They don't really have a really good running attack, at least to my personal opinion. We got James Conner, and that we're a run-heavy team. So we got 62 targets for Brian Thomas. We got Malik Neighbors is at 60 targets, and then Marvin Harrison Jr. 43 targets, right? Receptions. 20 receptions for Marvin, 39 receptions for Malik, and then 30 receptions for Brian Thomas. Now the yardage, right? Big difference there. You got 513, 427, and then you got 300 from Marvin Harrison Jr. This is what I want to focus on here, the drops, because the catchable balls, right? And like I said, it could be subjective, right? I have seen a lot of balls that are targeted for Marvin Harrison Jr. that are not catchable, at least to me, right? The one that he almost got decapitated on the sideline, and even the one that, like, in the end, I don't know if that was catchable. I don't think they're counting it as catchable here, so please keep that in mind as well, right? So right now, does Marvin Harrison Jr. have more drops, compared to your Malik Neighbors and then your Brian Thomas? Yes, he does, right? He does have more drops. Catchable balls, right? Now, keep in mind, this is also subjective as well. This is compared to what they think the catchable ball is compared to the other guys, right? So 43 targets, 20 receptions, 24 catchable balls per this website, right? Now, the Yak, yards after catch, 40 yards won't do you much justice, right? Of course, if you compare it to Brian Thomas, 191 yards compared to 168 with Malik Neighbors, and then 40 yards for Marvin Harrison Jr. So there's 4 dropped balls per fantasypros.com. That's where the stats are coming from. And then you got 24 catchable balls. So out of 43 targets, 20 receptions. So out of those 20 receptions, 24 of those were catchable. So that, that's where the math comes from. That's where you're seeing the 4 drops there. What I'm seeing here is a lot of uncatchable balls as well from Kyler to Marvin. And I'm also seeing, obviously, just the productions being absolutely wild from Brian Thomas, right? Because even the targets, like compared to Malik and Marvin, You got 43 for Marv, and then you got 60. Like, that's already 17 more. I'm sorry, I can't even math. Yeah, 17. Yeah, 17 more to Malik than Marvin on targets just alone. And then that's 19 more for Brian Thomas. So you're able to do more with the amount of targets that you're getting, right? Now, receptions, 20. 20 compared to your 39 compared to your 30. Now, obviously, the more targets you get, the more opportunity of receptions that you can get. Has he dropped balls? Yes, he has. But per this website, catchable balls, 24. So that tells me that out of the targeted, what is it? 24. Let me math here real quick. So probably should have done this a little earlier, but 43 targets is 24, right? $19. So they're saying that 19 of those targets were uncatchable, is what they're saying per the stats, right? So I'm not sure if you guys feel the same way, but this is kind of what I'm talking about, where like they need to get on the same page, right? And I'm not sitting here saying, oh, this is this person's fault. This is this person. I don't care whose fault it is, right? I understand that Marvin Harrison Jr. seemed to have very crucial throws, especially when the confidence level was, okay, Kyler Murray, we're throwing it to you, Marvin. And he has had some questionable drops. We're like, bro, what are you doing? Why are you dropping that ball? It was right in your hands. It's like you had butter in your hands, right? So I'm not putting any fault at, oh, this is this person's fault, this person's fault. But per the stats here on fantasypros.com, and keep in mind, like I said, it's a fantasy football, website, which actually has a lot of followers on X/Twitter. If you want to go ahead and double check them. But yeah, they're saying that 17 of those 43 targets that were uncatchable balls to Marvin Harrison Jr. And we've seen a couple of them. On this game, not just to Marvin, but we've seen a couple of them to Michael Wilson as well. I just don't want people to get in their mind process that, oh, this is all on Kyler, right? Or this is all on Marvin. No, I don't think this is all on any of these two guys. I think that what they need to do is sit in a freaking film room and go step by step. And what is your mind process here, right? What if you're getting jammed at the line? Marvin Harrison Jr., what do you think I should do as a quarterback? I think if you want to solve these issues down to the fine detail, these two need to sit down in a room, throw in Drew Petzing in that same damn room, lock them in there for 24, 48 hours, and get them to understand what is going on with this miscommunication with amongst them too, right? Because yeah, I mean, it almost kind of feels like when you're looking at the stats, I've seen some comments out there, oh, the Cardinals should have traded back and got Brian Thomas Jr., right? Oh, the Cardinals should have got Malik Neighbors over Marvin Harrison Jr. That's not the case. I still personally think that Marvin Harrison Jr. was the pick at 4. And whoever was in the situation, if they weren't a quarterback needy team, would have done the exact same thing. Marvin Harrison Jr. was the guy. Now, I know there was that video floated around with the Giants saying, oh, I would pick Malik or Marvin Harrison Jr. You know darn well if you're in a situation, if you were sitting at the 4th overall pick, you would pick Marvin over Malik. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced either otherwise. So to me, it's not about, oh, we picked the wrong wide receiver. It's not about that. It's about, let's get these guys on the same page, right? Because per these stats, obviously the drops are important, but if you're looking at it as a catchable ball or a ball that was just dropped because a boneheaded went through my hands, I wasn't thinking straight, my head wasn't on right, it's not that bad. Now, granted, yes, he does got one more drop compared to the rest of the two guys that has targets that are exceeding 15 plus, compared to your Neighbors and your Brian Thomas Jr. They need to figure it out. That's the number one thing here. They need to figure it out. Now, I wanted to bring this up to everybody's attention here because I'm hearing a lot of people in the chat saying this is all Kyler, this is all Marvin. I don't think it's on either of the two. I really don't. I think it's on the miscommunications of what Kyler feels like should be done compared to what Marvin feels like it could be done. It doesn't have to be wrong. They just need to find a right together. That's all they need to do. Like, it's not rocket science. And I get it. There's so many things happening in real time in the NFL game. I'm fully aware of that. But there needs to be a level of consistency, knowing what your wide receiver is going to do, and not 100% of the time. I'm not looking for 100% of the time. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for 65% of the time. I'm looking for 70% of the time is what I'm looking for. And so far, these wide receivers, not just Marvin, Michael Wilson has also dropped balls as well. We also seen Greg Dortch drop some balls. We also seen James Conner drop some balls. So, like, let's not sit here and act like, oh, Marvin Harrison Jr. is the only person dropping balls. No, it's not. Every guy in this wide receiving core has dropped at least one or two. I promise you. Look back. They probably have. They dropped one or two, whether it's catchable or it's just a silly drop. This guy, he's a very, very good, talented young wide receiver. Does he need to get a little more confidence? Does he need to put a little bit more of the dog in him? Yes. Yes. That will come with age. Keep in mind, he's 22. He's 22, right? Is that his age? Let me just double check. He's 22 years old. He just turned 22. Do y'all remember what it was like in 22 years old where you didn't even know what you were? Like, does he need to find a level of confidence? Yes, he does, but he's 22. Give him some slack. Kyler Murray, get in the film room with each other, talk to each other, see if you can get on the same page. And like I said, what I've seen from, and this is the third time I'm saying it, what I've seen from that mic'd up is that Kyler Murray went up to Marvin and said, hey, I didn't see you there. I'll get you next time. Kudos. Boom. Respect. Din, din, din. Right? And I'm doing the GTA thing. Respect. Because, yeah, I'll give respect to respect. That's amazing. That's awesome. I love that he came up here and went to his young wide receiver while he was looking at the tablet with the coach. Is there a struggle? Yes, there is. Is there a miscommunication? Yes, there is. Is there not a 100%, is Marvin Harrison Jr. the number one progression in every single play? No, he's not, right? Like, everything is true. Everything is true. We're just looking for a solution. And like I said, we don't need to be 100% on the same page every time. As long as we're 65, 70, no, heck, 75% of the time, I think that will go leaps and bounds. Because our wide receivers is just, they don't seem to be a focal point. Like, thankfully, and Kyler said this too, if this was a shootout, and the reason why I'm quoting Kyler, because people will come at me and be like, oh, you don't think we would have won this if they were scoring touchdowns? You don't think we would? So, per Kyler Murray, if this was a shootout, we probably wouldn't have won. We probably wouldn't have won. Because there were some offensive struggles. Still. It's still happening. It's still struggling. So, when I'm looking at this, right? When I'm looking at the breakdown like this, it does ease my mind. It does ease my mind personally. I'm not sure if it does to you guys here in the chat, but it does ease my mind because, yes, to me, I thought there were more drop balls, and they still could be. These stats are subjective to a specific website, but the only other website I would think that has something like this is PFF, and I don't have a subscription to them, so I'm not looking at that. So I thought it was really, really good stats to kind of put up and say, hey, 4 drops, okay. In 7 games, I mean, he's got 300 yards, 4 touchdowns right now. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald is 500 yards away with over 10 games left now? 10 games left in the season? Like, we'll be all right. We'll be all right. And I'm not saying he's going to hit Anquan Bolden numbers. No, I'm not saying that. But, I mean, I still want to see a level of consistency. So, for the people out there that are saying, oh, he's a rookie, he's a rookie. To me, that's not an excuse. But I'm also not sitting here saying I want to see 100 yards a game from Marvin. No, I understand the unrealisticness of that, right? What's more important to me is for them to get on the same page. The 100 yards a game will get there. They will get there as long as them two are on the same page. We got my guy Fat Gangster on the chat. What's up, brother? Appreciate you for being here. He says, I said this before as a joke, but it's getting to the point where it should be entertained. 10 straight screens to Marvin Harrison Jr. Get him involved and have confidence back. Should have dropped a line drive. I mean, I'm surprised that we're not. Like, I'm honestly surprised that we're not seeing a screen implemented, right? And I'm not saying every drive, but like if it calls for it, and if they're playing so far behind and you got 3 wide receivers or even 2 wide receivers on a specific side and they're playing behind, why not a quick throw, right? Why not a throw where Marvin Harrison Jr. gets the ball in open space and see if he can truly do something? Because with what we're seeing a lot of quick route or curl routes. We're seeing a lot of, crossers, right? Or a deep post, right? It's what we're seeing. But like, can we do something quick where he gets the ball in his hand and let him make the play, right? That's what we're seeing here, or that's what I want to see. So, I mean, yeah, I hate saying it, but I think you're right. I think I would love to see a quick play for our wide receiver, especially if they're playing from behind. Get him the ball, see what he can do with his legs. Even if it's 5 or 6 yards, that's still 5 or 6 yards that you don't have to get in the next down, right? It could be done. It's just during the game, I understand there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of things happening, there's a lot of situations happening at the same time. I'm fully aware of that. But to me, there's no excuse to not get him involved. And right now, for 7 weeks, I don't feel like we're getting him involved consistently. That's the thing. You can say he was involved in a game. You can say he was involved in a quarter. You can say he was involved for 3 or 4 games. That's actually not even true either. In 7 games, he's not getting involved consistently. And that's the problem. That's the problem. We're not asking for 100 yards a game. Sorry. I'm at least not. But I'm at least trying to see, can you get your 4th overall pick involved? That's what I feel like a lot of Cardinal fans are saying. Not all of them, but some Cardinal fans are saying. So, for what it's worth, ladies and gentlemen, looking at the stats like this, looking at the breakdown, I don't think it's too big of a deal. I really don't. I think there still needs to be a level of confidence with Kyler throwing the ball over to Marvin. Miscommunication still needs to be there. Or, sorry, the connection still needs to be there. We're still not seeing the connection down to its full potential. That's the truth. But, hopefully we'll get there. Hopefully we'll get there. Let's see here. Cards Keenan. What's up, Cards? You clearly haven't watched any tape. This is a waste, guys. Are all open over the tape. You know that it just doesn't accept. So I think you might be talking to somebody specifically. Cards Kingdom. You might be. I think you're going back and forth with Ian. There is plays where there's people open. You come on. Like, there is plays where people are open. Yeah, there is, guys. There is. And I'm going to be the first to admit it. There is plays that people are open, right? It's just, is your quarterback thinking that's my first progression, right? There is. To say that there's not is crazy. There is specific plays that there is. Kurt Warner did say that there was some plays that Kyler Murray should have taken. Yes, there is. But that doesn't mean that Kyler Murray is a scrub. No. We're just hoping that he learns. That's all I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that he learns. I'm hoping that he learns from, okay, next time we do something like this and I see this same defensive coverage, my mind process will be, okay, I'm going from deep to down, right? That's how I'm going to read my progression. My number 1 wide receiver is going to take a double move. Because if that was his first progression, he would have stayed there in the pocket a little bit and then let it fly. Because he beat that player. He beat him. But his first progression wasn't there. His first progression, and that's the confidence. He doesn't have the confidence there yet. So it's going to come in time. At least I hope it does. So that's kind of where we're at. Let me get to a couple comments in the chat. We got ADAZ. What's up, brother? Does anyone know why Weaver was out last week? Weaver was actually playing last week. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you saying Chargers, right? The Chargers game? I'm only assuming because Zay Jones came back and Marvin. Like, the only reason why we saw Weaver the week prior was because Marvin got hurt. So we saw a little bit more of a Weaver. But, yeah, I mean, if you have a Zay Jones, he's going to be taking those reps. So that's probably why. But let's do this, right? Let's lighten the mood here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's lighten the mood. What I'm trying to do, I want to do, and we got about 5 more minutes before we close up shop here. I want to do a jersey giveaway. I've said this before that I was waiting for us to hit 15K on this channel. I was waiting for us to hit 15K on this channel. Now, my question to y'all, and I'll put it on a community post too, so you guys can answer here if you guys want. That's completely fine. But I want to put it on a community post as well. My question to y'all is, which jersey do you guys potentially want, right? So options: Trey McBride, Kyler Murray. What was the other ones I said? D-Rob. And then I guess I put an other on there, but it seemed like Trey McBride might have been the one. Now, I am under the understanding that I want at least, when I do give this jersey, I want you to wear it at least for a year or two, like, or 2 or 3 years. Like, that's my goal. So that's why the players are being chosen the way they're being chosen. So Trey McBride, D-Rob, obviously still in a rookie deal, so he's going to be with us for a bit. And then if you believe in Kyler, then you can get a Kyler. So I want to do a jersey giveaway because we hit 15K. Now here is what I'm going to do. Usually what I do is I post it on my Instagram and I post it on my X/Twitter, but I want to actually show the chat love. That's what I'm looking for. I'm showing the guys in the chat that are always here, that are always having a conversation, that never ever batted an eye when I'm live or when I drop a video, or even if you disagree with me or you don't agree with me, or disagree with me or agree with me, right? I want to give love to you guys, the guys that are always in the freaking chat. So what I'm going to do, and I already know the names. So when I make this community post, obviously put your name in the chat when the community post is there, and I'm going to choose about 40, 50 people, heck, maybe even 30 or 40 guys that I always see on the chat, always communicating, always back and forth, always in the comments on a video or on a live stream. I'm focusing on you guys because you guys are always the ones that show up. I don't want to give this to a random person that just decides to follow me on Twitter just because you see a giveaway. Nah, I want to make sure that you guys get the love. So look out for a community post here coming up very, very soon, maybe within the next hour. Vote, and obviously place your name in the comments, and then we will get 30 people that are constantly involved in these videos, constantly involved in the chat, and we will pick, and then we will ask you what jersey you want, and then we'll obviously ship it and go that way. So giveaway, ladies and gentlemen, giveaway happening. So appreciate you guys so very much. That's for you guys. Thank you so very much for always being here and obviously supporting in what we're trying to create here and build. I know people call this new media, or at least other fan bases say new media, because this comes from a content creator compared to your usual sources out there. But, you know, at the end of the day, all the information is being put out here from your Ian Rappaport, your Adam Schefter. So appreciate you guys. It's been an absolute pleasure doing what I do. Thank you so much for the 15K. We're going to be giving a jersey giveaway. Like I said, look at my community post within the next hour. We'll have a voting down, and then put your name down there. I'll get 30 to 40 people that are constantly rocking with me, and then we'll go there. So, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you as always. Let me give another shout out here to BetUS, which is the sponsors of the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube that make these giveaways possible, by the way. Right now, if you use promo code YouTube150, they will provide you with a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit. And the following 2 deposits will be 125%. By using YouTube 150, we'll get you this great promotion. Now, that is going to be up to $2,000. That is going to be up by using promo code YouTube 150 upon signing up. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in as always. Always a pleasure speaking to you guys in the chat. Have a great rest of your day, and as always, go Cardinals.